Welcome to Santa Clarita Weekly, where we cover all things local in Santa Clarita Valley every Saturday morning at 9 on KQRU 107.9. Join hosts Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty as they uncover the latest news, events, sports highlights, and more, keeping you connected and engaged with what matters most in our hometown.
So welcome back for another edition of Santa Clarita Weekly with Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty. I'm Sage. He's Tim. You can listen to us on the radio, KQRU 107.9 FM on Thursday afternoons at 5:30 and on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. We are also on YouTube and Instagram. You can find us online at santaclaritastar.com. So is American democracy under threat? Today we will be talking about how the authoritarian ideas of Curtis Yarvin really influenced the MAGA movement and the current Trump administration. And we will also hear from California Secretary of State, Shirley Weber. Tim has some great interviews to share today for local sports. The West Ranch baseball team won the CIF Southern Section Division II championship, and the West Ranch softball team lost the CIF Southern Section Division V championship in extra innings. And the Canyon girls, 4x400 relay team, was the runner-up at the CIF State Track and Field Championships in Clovis. So in a World Series rematch, the Dodgers won 2 of 3 games against the Yankees at Dodger Stadium, and Shohei Ohtani did the week as the National League leader in home runs. But let's start out by talking about how certain people in power have been trying to engineer the end of American democracy. And you may have never heard the name Curtis Yarvin, but billionaire Peter Thiel and prominent members of the Trump administration sure have. We are going to start out by talking about Homeland Security's raid on the office of a Democratic congressman with the accusation that he was harboring rioters. Then we are going to look at how Curtis Yarvin has influenced Trump's second term, and we will end with the speech that California Secretary of State Weber gave at the California Democratic Convention in Anaheim last month.
No, she did not. That is not what happened.
That is not what happened.
Okay?
What?
Hold on a second.
Give out your contact information right
No,
now.
I'm going to give you some to.
Hey.
That's what I'm going to
Speak to
do.
you after.
We got you.
No.
We got you. You're okay.
I don't have to go.
You're okay. You're okay. You're going to be okay.
I'm a federal officer. We're here checking on.
June 2025, and the Department of Homeland Security entered the office of Democratic New York Congressman Jerry Nadler of New York. They accused the congressman of harboring rioters and proceeded to handcuff one of Nadler's congressional staffers. This is a scene no one thought would be possible in the United States, but here we are. How did we get here? American democracy as we know it is facing an unprecedented storm right now in 2025. Today, we're diving deep into a complex web of ideologies, movements, and active government measures that are scrutinizing and altering the very foundations of U.S. governance. We're talking about new, powerful governmental entities like DOGE, radical anti-democratic philosophies being actioned, and populist movements that have pulled our nation in a drastically different direction. From tech-driven government overhauls to the implementation of monarchist-like ideas and the powerful shaping force of Christian nationalism, these are not isolated incidents. They are interconnected trends, with various actors sharing the immediate goal of disrupting and delegitimizing our democratic system. The frequent appearance of this very year, 2025, in documentation related to these plans has proven prophetic. These are no longer abstract threats, but are our near future and, in many cases, current realities. So let's break down what is happening. First, let's look at Curtis Yarvin, also known by the pseudonym Mencius Moldbug. His neo-reaction philosophy, which fundamentally critiques liberal democracy as inherently flawed and inefficient, is no longer just a theory. Its influence is visible in current societal restructuring. His proposed alternative, replacing democratic structures with a system analogous to corporate governance, led by a single executive akin to a CEO or monarch with absolute power, is finding echoes in current shifts. A key concept in Yarvin's thought, the cathedral, his term for the informal coalition of universities and mainstream media he believes upholds progressive ideology, is being actively challenged and dismantled. The hard reset he advocated is in progress. His admiration for authoritarian figures and states underscores the belief in centralized, unconstrained power that we are now seeing implemented. His philosophy is rooted in white supremacy, including defenses of slavery and a belief that races differ in ways that would imply hierarchy or differing capabilities. These provide a disturbing intellectual framework for some of these anti-democratic sentiments. Yarvin told the New York Times in January 2025 that Black people were better off under slavery. He said, quote, "If you look at the living conditions for an African American in the South, they are absolutely at their nadir between 1865 and 1875. They are very bad because basically this economic system has been disrupted." Despite substantial criticism from academics like Harvard professor Daniel Allen, who deemed his work historically flawed and a danger to freedom and democracy, Yarvin's influence is extended to prominent figures in technology and politics, including J.D. Vance, now vice president, and Peter Thiel. His ideas are cited as an influence on the now operational Department of Government Efficiency. So let's take a look at DOGE. Established during the Trump administration and led by technology entrepreneur Elon Musk, who was notably appointed without Senate confirmation, it has become a powerful force. Its stated purpose was to enhance government efficiency and reduce wasteful spending, but its actions have worked to damage the U.S. governmental institutions and usurp Congress's power of the purse. DOGE's conceptual underpinnings are explicitly linked to Curtis Yarvin's idea of RAGE, retire all government employees, and this is precisely what we've witnessed, a substantial dismantling of the existing federal workforce. This is the Silicon Valley playbook in action. Technologically adept individuals, often from the tech elite, reshaping society now that traditional governmental structures have been sidelined. The CEO-like approach to governance, prioritizing perceived efficiency and decisive top-down action over deliberative democratic processes, is the new reality. Under Musk's initial stewardship, DOGE initiated significant changes. An estimated 260,000 government workers have accepted buyout deals, taken early retirement, or been dismissed. These reductions have impacted a wide array of governmental functions, from public health to critical services and disaster recovery. Software was even developed to automate layoffs. Crucially, then President Trump followed DOGE recommendations to cut agency budgets, an action described by legal analysts as a straightforward violation of Article 1's express grant of exclusive budgetary authority to Congress. DOGE has become a vehicle for radical, ideologically motivated governmental restructuring, bypassing traditional legislative processes and constitutional norms. The Make America Great Again, or MAGA movement, under President Donald Trump is a dominant force in American politics. Its ideological underpinnings and the rhetoric of its proponents have advocated for a more authoritarian style of leadership. Strategies for the president to grant himself expansive powers, including closing down government departments without congressional approval, impounding congressionally authorized funds, and disregarding judicial rulings, are actually happening right now. The embrace of expansive executive power is challenging the American constitutional order daily. The Republican Party has been making moves to demonstrably undermine democratic institutions and public trust in elections. Since 2010, numerous state legislatures under Republican control enacted laws that have reduced voter access to the ballot, such as those leading to inadequate polling facilities or stricter voter ID requirements. Republicans have followed Trump's lead in spreading misinformation about the integrity of elections, and extreme partisan gerrymandering has entrenched one-party rule in certain areas, mirroring tactics used by Orban in Hungary. Most critically, the refusal by prominent political figures to accept legitimate electoral defeat, notably following the 2020 election and the January 6th storming of the Capitol, set a precedent that continues to erode democratic norms. The uncommitted stance of a major political party or significant elements within it towards the peaceful transfer of power and the acceptance of legitimate electoral outcomes has jeopardized the security of our democracy. The erosion of this commitment has shifted political contestation from policy debates to existential battles over the legitimacy of the system itself. Research from the Brookings Institution indicating that Republican control of state government correlates with a reduction in states' democratic performance now describes an entrenched reality. Christian nationalism is now incredibly influential and deeply embedded within the Republican Party and the MAGA movement. The belief that the United States was founded as a Christian nation and that its laws and institutions must prioritize Christian values or biblical principles is shaping policy. There's a 2022 Politico poll where 61% of Republicans supported declaring the U.S. a Christian nation. Christian nationalists have been pushing the misleading claim that the U.S. was founded as a republic, not a democracy, to undermine public support for democracy, a narrative gaining traction among Republican voters. This misinformation campaign deliberately distorts history, as the founders' criticisms were aimed at pure, direct democracy like ancient Greek systems, not the representative democratic republic they established. By stripping away this crucial context, the republic, not democracy argument is being weaponized to legitimize anti-democratic sentiments and policies, even though a republic is fundamentally a form of democracy where citizens rule through elected representatives under the law. Political figures, including Donald Trump, whose pronouncements that Christians were under siege and the need to bring back Christianity are because of the influence of Christian nationalists, and they have acted on these themes. Allies, like Russell Vought, the OMB director, and self-described Christian nationalists have successfully infused Christian nationalist ideas into the current administration. The policy agenda is extensive and actively reshaping American society. Terms like sexual orientation, gender identity, and DEI have been deleted from federal rules and legislation. Fundamentalist biblical teachings are a basis for public policy, and access to contraceptives severely reduced. Executive Order 14202, Eradicating Anti-Christian Bias, established a task force that has actively worked to, quote, protect the religious freedoms of Americans and in the anti-Christian weaponization of government, end quote. This is based on allegations that the previous Biden administration targeted peaceful Christians. This version of religious freedom prioritizes conservative Christianity, framing its adherents as uniquely persecuted, and has effectively undermined the Establishment Clause, granting preferential status to one group. With political authority now widely perceived by supporters as ordained by God, opposition is framed not as political disagreement, but as opposition to a divine plan, making democratic compromise impossible and justifying extreme measures. Tactics like suspending civil service laws, dismissing public employees, weaponizing the federal budget, and altering laws to consolidate power are now features of our landscape. Testimonies from those who fled authoritarian regimes, noting parallels like attacks on media and an atmosphere of fear, describe our current reality. This is the state of American democracy in 2025. The push towards autocratic leadership, the systematic undermining of democratic institutions, and the powerful ideological drive of Christian nationalism, all comprehensively outlined in Project 2025, are no longer future threats. They are the defining characteristics of our current government and society. Yarvin's ideas provide an intellectual basis for the rejection of democracy. Doge and rage provided the pathway for crippling and politicizing the federal government. The MAGA movement supplied the populist vehicle for leaders who disdained checks and balances. Republican Party strategies at the state level diminished voter access and fair representation. And Christian nationalism, through Project 2025, has delivered a federal government guided by biblical principles, staffed by ideological loyalists, and empowered with sweeping executive authority. At the California Democratic Convention in Anaheim on May 31st, 2025, California Secretary of State Shirley talked about the importance of upholding the principles of democracy in America.
I am Shirley, Secretary of State, and I'm honored to serve this great state with the largest voting population in the nation. But I have to be honest. If someone had said to me that I would be in this position of having to fight for the things that my parents fought for 50, 60 years ago, I would have said no way. No way will we ever decide to go back and to give up what we have fought so hard for so many years. And yet here we are, litigating the issues that we had to litigate years ago about the right to vote. And those of us who can stand and be counted for. And so it's a difficult conversation to have. You see, I'm a sharecropper voter, despite the fact that I have all these degrees from UCLA, with an early professional 23, and all that other stuff. I am a sharecropper's daughter who refused to back down at a way station and therefore challenged the authorities that were there and had his life threatened and had to leave Arkansas in the middle of the night in order to prevent being lynched. But he stood firm on his belief system, and he taught his children, his daughters, and his sons to never back down, to never give up on the things that you believe. And I have fought my way every step of the way, whether it's through the University of California and threatening to sue them and others who decided that they were not going to grant me what I had earned and deserved. And it becomes important for us to understand that this is who we are. We are people who fight, not occasionally. We don't win the war and then go home and pack up our things. We know that we will fight all of our lives for what is right and what is just and what is good. And if we don't understand that, we will be in this position every time we turn around.
You are listening to KQRU 107.9 FM in Santa Clarita. You can listen to Santa Clarita Weekly on Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. and on Saturday mornings at 9, and on YouTube, Instagram, or wherever you listen to podcasts. So Tim, talk to us about local sports.
Okay, so let's start with West Ranch High School. The baseball team was in the CIF Southern Section Championship game. The softball team was in Southern Section CIF Southern Section Championship game, and they both had very different outcomes. West Ranch, let's start with West Ranch baseball. They rode the arm of pitcher Hunter Manning to its first CIF Southern Section Championship in school history. West Ranch won a tight game against Mater Dei 2-1 in the championship game of the CIF Southern Section Division II playoffs at Cal State Fullerton. Manning pitched a complete game, scattered 4 hits, and striking out 6. He gave up a run in the 7th inning, but preserved the lead for the West Ranch win. West Ranch took a 2-0 lead in the 4th inning on an RBI single by Ryan Hu, and it proved to be enough to win the game. West Ranch earned a spot in the CIF Southern California Regionals by winning the Southern Section Championship, but they declined to play. Manning, who pitched his last game for West Ranch, will continue his baseball career at UC Irvine next season. On the other side, the West Ranch softball team lost a heartbreaker in the CIF Southern Section Championship game. That was a different story for the West Ranch softball team. West Ranch played a tight 1-run game against St. Bonaventure in the championship game of the CIF Southern Section Division V playoffs in Irvine, but lost 8-7 in extra innings. West Ranch took a 6-0 lead, scoring 5 runs in the 3rd inning. Gretchen Roan capped the rally with the 2-run single, but St. Bonaventure scored 5 runs in the 5th inning to tie the score 6-6. It gave St. Bonaventure new life, but it didn't take West Ranch out of the game. Torrey Price tripled in the 6th inning and scored on a sacrifice fly by Ava Esparza to give West Ranch the lead 7-6. But St. Bonaventure bounced back again in the 7th inning, scoring a run to tie the score 7-7 and send the game into extra innings. St. Bonaventure scored the winning run with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th inning and won the game. Price went 2 for 4 with the walk and scored 2 runs. Rowan, who pitched all 8 innings of the game, went 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs, and Isabella Swanson was 1 for 3, drove in a run, and Esparza went 1 for 3, scored a run, and drove in 1 run. After the game, the St. Bonaventure coach told West Ranch coach Mike Marilise the better team lost that game. It was a compliment. I was saying the St. Bonaventure team, they needed to use 3 pitchers just to get through the game, and West Ranch really took advantage of the starting pitcher. They figured her out early, and they rallied, and they built a big lead. And St. Bonaventure made some adjustments. They threw in a couple pitchers at the end of the game. It slowed down the West Ranch hitters. They rallied. The St. Bonaventure hitters rallied and came through. But it didn't make Marilise feel better about losing the game. He talked about how his team never quit the game and how the team wanted to make a statement in the playoff.
And, kind of just started driving into the ball. We know we're our best when we're hitting hard ground balls and line drives. Torrey coming up and, later in the game with a triple. We have that pop to us, but we're our best when we're hitting hard ground balls and line drives.
Okay. Tell me about Gretchen today, too. I mean, not only did she pitch 8 innings today, she went did extra work for you, but she came up with a big hit in that inning, too.
Yeah.
Just tell me about how well Gretchen played today.
She's our warrior child. She plays, she's clutching at bats all season long, especially through the playoff run. But on the mound, it's just kind of unfazed. She pitches to where our defense is, and that's why we've preached perfect defense. We know she can spin the ball and keep the ball on the ground, so when she does that, we're set up to defend her very well. So. Yeah. I mean, I think this is the grand stage that you play for. So,
right.
Anything that comes afterwards is, it's kind of like gravy. With the whole postseason has just been gravy as a whole. That's what I would say. It's
Oh yeah.
We're just rolling with 7 underclassmen, having the time of our lives and building a culture that I think everybody here can say, West Ranch is definitely on the map.
And then Price, she played a big role in both rallies for West Ranch. She also played the entire game at shortstop. And she talked about how the playoffs unfolded and how the season ended for her team. West Ranch earned a spot in the CIF Southern California Division III regionals and played Olympian in the first round. It was another extra inning affair. This time, West Ranch lost in the 9th inning, 7-6, in a seesaw game. Trailing 4-2, West Ranch scored 3 runs in the 7th inning to take a 5-4 lead. But Olympian scored a run in the bottom of the 7th inning to tie the score 5-5. Then West Ranch scored a run and took the lead in the top of the 9th inning, 6-5. But Olympian answered in the bottom of the 9th, scoring 2 runs to win the game 7-6. That's the end of West Ranch's season. But it was a good season for West Ranch. It was very exciting. Too bad it had to end with 2 losses, but they easily could have won either of those games. It's just sad to see them lose both games in extra innings. It's a great season and kind of just a really sad ending. Let's move on to track and field. The Canyon Girls 4x400 team relay team finished in 2nd place at the CIF State Track and Field Finals. The Canyon Girls track team were all over the place in this state meet. The Canyon Girls 4x400 relay team was the runner-up at the CIF State Track and Field Finals in Clovis. The relay team from Long Beach Wilson won the race in 3 minutes, 36.75 seconds. Canyon was second in 3 minutes, 40.77 seconds. The Canyon Girls track team had a productive day at the meet. The girls 4x100 relay team was 7th in 46.08 seconds. Oaks Christian won the 4x100 relay in 46.93 seconds. 3 girls from Canyon competed in the 400 meter race. Nye Grant competed in the finals and finished in 7th place in 55.71 seconds. Madison Mosby from St. Mary's Academy won the 200 in 53.52 seconds. Laya Gaines and Lyric Scott from Canyon also qualified in the CIF state meet in 200, but they did not advance to the finals. They both didn't qualify out of their heat races. On the boys' side, Canyon's Jordan Gamage was entered in the 110 meter hurdles, but he did not advance to the finals. He was second in his heat race in 14.13 seconds, but misqualifying for the finals. Tamia Career from West Ranch raced in the girls 200, but did not advance to the final. She was 4th in her heat race in 24.32 seconds. Nija Sizemore from Bendon won the 200 in 23.18 seconds. Golden Valley's Kiara Donovan finished in 6th place in the discus with a throw of 145 feet 4 inches. Yasleen Massey from Aliso Niguel won the discus with a throw of 163 feet 9 inches. So that's it for the track and field season. And I'm going to hand it over to Sage to talk about the Dodgers.
All right. Thank you, Tim. So the Dodgers and the Yankees met for the first time since the World Series, and the Dodgers came out on top again. The Dodgers won the first 2 games of the series at Dodger Stadium, lost the 3rd game, and outscored the Yankees 29-14. The Dodgers won the first game 8-5 and had to rally late to take the lead. The Dodgers were down 4-2 in the 6th inning and scored 4 runs to take the lead 6-5. The Dodgers added 2 more runs in the 7th inning and held on the rest of the way. But Shohei Ohtani hit 2 home runs in the game, giving him a National League leading 22 at the time. So Andy Pages went 2 for 4 and drove in 3 runs, starting a productive series against the Yankees. The Dodgers won the second game 18-2. It wasn't even close. Max Muncy hit 2 home runs and drove in 7 runs. Dalton Rushing hit his first major league home run. The Dodgers hit 5 home runs in the game, and Kiki Hernandez finished the game on the mound pitching for the Dodgers. The third game was a little bit different. Yoshinobu Yamamoto started for the Dodgers and had his worst outing of the season. He didn't make it out of the fourth inning and left trailing 4-1. On the plus side, Muncy hit another home run. Pages hit his second home run of the series, and Freddie Freeman ended the series with a .365 batting average, leading the National League in hitting. It was a productive week for the Dodgers, who started the week winning 2 of 3 games against the Guardians in Cleveland, and the Dodgers take on the New York Mets at Dodger Stadium before heading to St. Louis for a series game against the Cardinals. But Tim, Ryan Yarbrough is now playing for the New York Yankees, and I believe the last time you and I both saw Yarbrough in person, he was pitching for the Dodgers. He really shined in that last game against the Dodgers. How have Dodgers fans reacted to his performance?
Okay, so I don't know how to answer that question about how Dodgers fans reacted. I think that third game, that last game that Ryan Yarbrough started against Yoshi Yamamoto, it looked like a mismatch on paper. Yamamoto and the Dodgers should have easily beat Ryan Yarbrough. And even though Ryan Yarbrough's had a good season for the Yankees, he's not on the same level as Yamamoto, and he should not have been able to shut down the Dodgers like he did for 6 innings in that third game. So I think the Dodger fans, I don't know that they really noticed that Yarbrough was pitching for the Yankees. I mean, some might have, but even though he was on the Dodgers World Series team last year, and he pitched out of the bullpen, had some relief appearances, he wasn't a huge factor part of that Dodgers World Series team. I mean, he was effective, and he had some effective moments during the season and during the World Series. But he wasn't one of the stars, and definitely wasn't one of the fan favorites. So yeah, the Dodger fans were more worried about seeing Yamamoto struggle against the Yankees. That's kind of a concern right now. Wondering if he may be getting a little tired and maybe have some injuries that the Dodgers aren't really talking about, and just kind of letting him kind of work through it right now, which would just be more bad news for the Dodger pitching staff. Yeah, that was the most important part of that game, was seeing Yamamoto struggle, not get out of the fourth inning, and trailing 4-1 in that game, and just not being able to really get anybody out in that game. It was just really a bad outing for Yoshi, and hopefully that it isn't a sign of things to come for him, because the Dodgers really do need him to be the best pitcher on the staff right now. But yeah, I don't think Ryan Yarbrough was even a second thought to many of the Dodger fans at that game on Sunday.
All right. Well, that's great insights, Tim. But I think that's all we have for today. But tune in next week for more discussions about the news from Santa Clarita. You can listen to us on the radio at KQRU 107.9 FM at 5:30 on Thursday evenings and 9 on Saturday mornings. You can also watch us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and listen to us on SantaClaritaStar.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a comment and be sure to subscribe to Santa Clarita Weekly Online. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Santa Clarita Weekly. You can watch the show on Santa Clarita Star's YouTube channel and Facebook page, as well as listen in on the radio at KQRU 107.9. Visit SantaClaritaStar.com for more content and tune in right here to KQRU 107.9. A new voice for Santa Clarita.